What if I told you that 91% of cars end up in the junkyard before hitting 200,000 miles? Yet there's a guy in Wisconsin who just rolled over 450,000 on his stock Honda Civic without replacing a single major component. And no, he didn't get lucky with a golden car. He followed a set of dead simple rules that the dealership service department will never tell you about. Why? Because if every driver knew these secrets, repair shops would lose billions. Today, I'm exposing the exact habits, the ones backed by hard data and proven by real mechanics, that turn any car into a bulletproof machine capable of 300,000 miles or more with virtually zero major repairs. And if you care about keeping your car alive longer than your car payment, hit that subscribe button right now, because what you're about to learn goes against everything the industry has been feeding you. Let's get into it. Habit number 20, the tire rotation secret. Here's something most drivers completely ignore. Uneven tire wear doesn't just waste rubber, it slowly destroys your entire suspension. When front tires wear faster than the rears, which they almost always do, you're introducing uneven loads into every turn, every stop, and every bump. That imbalance forces ball joints, strut mounts, and control arms to work harder on one side than the other. Over 5 years, that tiny difference compounds into thousands of dollars in premature suspension repairs. A study from Tire Rack found that drivers who rotate their tires every 5,000 to 7,000 miles extend tire life by up to 50% and reduce suspension component failures by nearly 30%. That's not marketing talk. That's real-world data from millions of tracked miles. The rotation pattern depends on your drivetrain. Front-wheel drive cars move tires front to back on the same side. Rear-wheel drive swaps them in an X pattern, and all-wheel drive requires a more complex rotation to balance wear across all four corners. But the timing is what matters most. If you wait until you see uneven wear, you're already too late. The damage is done. Rotate early, rotate often, and pair it with alignment checks at least once a year. Alignment costs $75 to $100, but it protects $115 and $100 worth of tires and suspension parts. Keep your tires balanced, your alignment straight, and your suspension will thank you with hundreds of thousands of smooth, quiet, vibration-free miles. This habit sets the foundation for everything else, because the next one protects the one system most drivers forget until it literally explodes. Habit number 19, the serpentine belt swap rule. Your serpentine belt is the single most critical rubber component under the hood. It drives your alternator, water pump, power steering pump, and air conditioning compressor. Lose that belt, and your car dies instantly, usually on the highway, in the heat, with no warning. Yet most drivers wait until they hear squealing or see visible cracks before they even think about replacing it. That's a catastrophic mistake. Belts don't warn you. They snap. And when they do, the damage spreads fast. A snapped belt can cause your engine to overheat in seconds, drain your battery in minutes, and leave you stranded in traffic with a repair bill that starts at $800 and climbs from there. Independent automotive studies show that serpentine belts start losing tensile strength after 60,000 miles, even if they look fine. Tiny internal cracks form inside the rubber long before you see surface damage. That's why the rule is simple. Replace your serpentine belt every 60,000 to 80,000 miles, no exceptions. And while you're in there, check the tensioner pulley and idler pulleys too. A weak tensioner allows the belt to slip, which wears it out faster and creates that high-pitched squeal you hear on cold starts. Replace the tensioner at the same time as the belt, and you eliminate the number one cause of premature belt failure. For most cars, the entire job costs $150 to $250 in parts and labor. Compare that to a $2,000 tow, overheating repair, and ruined weekend, and you'll see why this habit is non-negotiable. Stay proactive, because the next habit dives deep into a fluid most people think never needs attention. Habit number 18, the differential fluid truth. If you drive a rear wheel or all-wheel drive vehicle, your differential is working hard every single mile. It's filled with thick gear oil that lubricates the ring and pinion gears, spinning at thousands of RPM under massive load. But here's the part your owner's manual won't emphasize: that oil breaks down. Heat, metal shavings, and water contamination slowly degrade the fluid until it can't protect the gears anymore. When that happens, you don't get a warning light. You get a whining noise, then a grinding noise, then complete differential failure. And replacing a differential isn't cheap. You're looking at $200 to $2,500 depending on the vehicle. Yet, a simple fluid change every 30,000 to 50,000 miles prevents all of that. Mechanics who specialize in high-mileage trucks and SUVs report that vehicles with regular differential service routinely hit 300,000 miles without rear-end problems. Those that skip it, most fail before 180,000. The fluid change itself is straightforward. Drain the old oil, inspect for metal shavings, refill with the correct weight and spec, and you're done. This one habit, overlooked by 80% of drivers, protects one of the most expensive drivetrain components in your car. Keep the gears bathed in fresh oil, and they'll spin smoothly for hundreds of thousands of miles. Now let's move into a system that fails more often than engines and costs just as much to fix. Habit number 17, the air filter accuracy check. You've probably heard that a clean air filter improves fuel economy. That's true. But what you haven't heard is how a clogged air filter silently suffocates your engine, robs horsepower, and forces your fuel system to compensate in ways that lead to carbon buildup, fouled spark plugs, and even catalytic converter damage. The Department of Energy found that a dirty air filter can reduce acceleration by up to 11% in older engines and significantly worsen fuel economy in modern engines that rely on precise air-fuel ratios. But here's the kicker. Most drivers never check it. They wait for the 30,000-mile service interval, even though dusty climates, dirt roads, and city driving can clog a filter in half that time. The test takes 30 seconds. Pop the hood, unlatch the airbox, pull out the filter, and hold it up to the light. If you can't see light passing through the pleats, it's time for a new one. A quality filter costs $15 to $30 and takes 2 minutes to install. Compare that to the cost of cleaning carbon deposits, replacing oxygen sensors, or worse, replacing a clogged catalytic converter at $200 plus, and you'll understand why this tiny check matters. Keep your engine breathing clean, unrestricted air, and it rewards you with crisp throttle response, better fuel economy, and a combustion chamber that stays clean mile after mile. This one's a no-brainer, and the next habit protects something even more sensitive. Habit number 16, the AC system saver. Your air conditioning system isn't just about comfort. It's a sealed pressure system filled with refrigerant and oil that lubricates the compressor while it's running. When you ignore your AC for months or even years, especially in winter, that oil settles and the seals dry out. Then, when you finally turn it on in summer, the compressor tries to start without lubrication, seals crack under pressure, and refrigerant leaks out. A new compressor plus refrigerant recharge can easily cost $800 to $2,400. But the fix is so simple it's almost ridiculous. Run your AC for 10 minutes every single month, even in freezing weather. This keeps the refrigerant circulating, the seals lubricated, and the system pressurized. HVAC specialists confirm that cars with year-round AC use have far fewer compressor and evaporator failures than those that sit idle half the year. And here's a bonus tip. When you do run it, turn on the defrost mode. That cycles the AC compressor while clearing moisture from your windshield. Catching a small leak early costs $100 to $200. Ignoring it until the compressor seizes, that's over $1,000. Keep your AC alive with one tiny monthly habit. Habit number 15, the wheel bearing watch. Wheel bearings are one of those components that fail slowly, then all at once. They spin thousands of times per mile, supporting the entire weight of your car while enduring lateral forces, heat, water, and road salt. When they start to go bad, you'll hear a low growl or humming noise that changes with speed. Ignore it, and that bearing can seize, lock up your wheel, or even separate, causing total loss of control. The scariest part? Most drivers have no idea what that noise even means. They assume it's tire noise or road noise and keep driving until the wheel literally wobbles. By then, the bearing has damaged the hub, the spindle, and sometimes even the brake rotor. What could have been a $150 bearing replacement becomes a $600 to $900 hub assembly job. The early warning test is simple. While driving at highway speed on a smooth road, listen for a droning hum that gets louder when you swerve gently left or right. If the noise increases during a left turn, it's usually the right side bearing under load, and vice versa. Catching it early means you can replace just the bearing. Waiting means you're replacing the entire hub assembly, and in some cars, that requires pressing out the old bearing with a hydraulic press, a job most DIYers can't do at home. Check your bearings during every brake job, listen for changes in road noise, and don't ignore that hum. This one mistake has caused more roadside breakdowns than most people realize. Stay alert, because the next habit targets a wear item hiding right in your cabin. Habit number 14, the cabin filter cleanup. It sounds minor, but your cabin air filter does more than keep dust out of the vents. It protects your blower motor, your evaporator core, and your entire HVAC system from clogging with leaves, pollen, dirt, and debris. When that filter gets packed, airflow drops. The blower motor has to work harder. It overheats. Then it burns out. Replacing a cabin filter costs $10 to $25 and takes 5 minutes. Replacing a blower motor costs $200 to $500 in parts and labor. The math is painfully obvious. Yet, surveys show that over 60% of drivers have never replaced their cabin filter. Some don't even know it exists. The result? Weak airflow, musty smells, foggy windows, and an overworked HVAC system that fails years earlier than it should. Changing it is one of the easiest maintenance tasks on any car. Most cabin filters are located behind the glove box or under the dashboard. Pop the clips, slide out the old filter, slide in the new one, and you're done. Do it once a year, or twice if you drive in dusty or high pollen areas. Your lungs will thank you, and your blower motor will last the life of the car. Keep the air path clear, because the next habit saves a part most people replace unnecessarily. Habit number 13, the battery terminal service. Corrosion on battery terminals is one of the sneakiest causes of no-start conditions, flickering dash lights, and mysterious electrical gremlins. That white or blue-green crust you see on the terminals isn't just ugly, it's a resistor. It blocks current flow between the battery and the starter, the alternator, and every electrical system in the car. When corrosion gets bad enough, your car won't start, even with a fully charged battery. You'll think the battery is dead, replace it for $150, and 2 months later the same problem comes back. Why? Because the real issue was never the battery. It was the connection. Cleaning battery terminals takes 10 minutes and costs virtually nothing. Disconnect the negative terminal first, then the positive. Use a wire brush or a battery terminal cleaner to scrub away all the buildup. Reconnect positive first, then negative, and tighten firmly. For extra protection, coat the terminals with dielectric grease. This simple step, done twice a year, keeps your electrical system rock solid. Habit number 12, the sway bar link test. Sway bar links, also called stabilizer links, connect your sway bar to the suspension. They reduce body roll in turns and keep your car stable during lane changes. But because they're mounted under the car and exposed to salt, water, dirt, and constant articulation, they wear out faster than most suspension parts. When a sway bar link fails, you'll hear clunking over bumps, especially speed bumps or potholes. The car might feel loose or disconnected in corners, and if you ignore it long enough, the failed link can damage the sway bar bushings, control arms, and even the strut mounts. A single sway bar link costs $20 to $40. Replacing a damaged strut mount costs $300 to $600. The test is fast. Jack up one corner of the car and grab the sway bar link with your hand. Try to move it up and down and side to side. If there's any play, clicking, or looseness, the link is toast. Replace both sides at the same time to maintain balance. Habit number 11, the power steering fluid flush. Power steering fluid is one of the most neglected fluids in the entire car. It sits in the reservoir, gets hot, cools down, absorbs moisture, and slowly breaks down. When it turns dark brown or black, it's no longer protecting your pump, rack, or hoses. Dirty fluid increases internal friction, wears out seals, and leads to leaks. A power steering pump replacement costs $400 to $700. A rack and pinion replacement can hit $1,000 to $1,800. A fluid flush costs $80 to $120 and prevents all of that. Mechanics report that cars with regular power steering flushes every 50,000 to 75,000 miles almost never have steering failures. Those that skip it, they're the ones coming in with whining pumps, stiff steering, and leaking racks. The fluid should look clear or light amber. If it's dark, gritty, or smells burnt, it's overdue. Check your manual, stay on schedule, and your steering will stay light, responsive, and leak-free for hundreds of thousands of miles. Habit number 10, the CV Axle Protection Plan. If you drive a front-wheel or all-wheel drive car, your CV axles are critical. They transfer power from the transmission to the wheels while allowing suspension movement and steering angle. Each axle has 2 CV joints protected by rubber boots. When those boots crack, grease leaks out, dirt gets in, and the joint wears out fast. A torn CV boot that gets caught early costs $100 to $200 to replace. A destroyed CV joint that's been clicking for months costs $300 to $600 per side. The warning signs are obvious. You'll hear a clicking or popping noise when turning, especially sharp turns in parking lots. That's the sound of a dry CV joint with worn rollers trying to articulate without lubrication. Once you hear it, the damage is already done. That's why inspection is key. Every time your car is on a lift for an oil change or tire rotation, visually inspect the CV boots. Look for cracks, tears, or grease splatter on the wheel well. Catching a small tear early means you can reboot the joint, pack it with fresh grease, and avoid replacement. Habit number 9, the shock absorber honesty test. Shocks and struts don't just make the ride smoother. They keep your tires in contact with the road during braking, cornering, and rough pavement. Worn shocks increase stopping distance, reduce handling precision, and accelerate tire wear because the tire bounces instead of gripping. A study from a major suspension manufacturer found that worn shocks can increase braking distance by up to 12 feet at highway speeds. That could be the difference between a close call and a collision. Yet most drivers never test their shocks until the car feels like a pogo stick. The bounce test gives you an instant read. Push down hard on one corner of the car and release. The car should rise smoothly and settle without bouncing. If it bounces more than once, your shocks or struts are weak. Replacing shocks isn't glamorous, but it's essential. Most cars need new shocks or struts every 60,000 to 100,000 miles, depending on roads and driving style. If you're still watching, you're in the top 5% of car owners who actually care about longevity. That tells me you're serious. Hit that like button and drop a comment with your car's current mileage. Habit number 8, the key fob battery change. It sounds silly compared to engine and transmission talk, but a dead key fob can leave you locked out of your car, unable to start it, or stuck with a warning light on the dash. Modern cars use encrypted communication between the fob and the car. When the fob battery gets weak, that signal drops. You might notice the car doesn't unlock until you're right next to it, or the push-button start hesitates. Ignore it long enough, and one day the car simply won't recognize the fob at all. Replacing a key fob battery costs $3 to $8 and takes 60 seconds. Getting a locksmith to make a new fob or reprogram your car costs $150 to $400. Most fobs use a CR2NO32 battery. Pop open the fob, swap the battery, and you're good for another 2 to 4 years. Keep a spare battery in your glove box, and you'll never be caught off guard. Habit number 7, the brake pad early warning system. Most drivers wait until their brakes are grinding metal on metal before they even think about replacing the pads. By then, the rotors are scored, the calipers are damaged, and what should have been a $150 pad replacement becomes a $500 brake job. Brake pads have built-in wear indicators, small metal tabs that scrape the rotor and make a high-pitched squeal when the pad material gets too thin. That squeal is an annoying background noise. It's your car screaming for help. The moment you hear it, you've got maybe 1,000 miles before the pad backing plate contacts the rotor and destroys it. But you don't have to wait for the squeal. Check your pads visually every few months. Most wheels have enough spoke clearance to peek at the pads. You should see at least a quarter inch of friction material. Anything less, and it's time to replace them. Combine that with attention to how the pedal feels. If it's spongy, pulsing, or requires more pressure than usual, something's wrong. Catching brake issues early keeps repair costs low and prevents dangerous fade. Habit number 6, the underbody rust prevention. Rust is the silent killer of high-mileage cars. It doesn't matter how perfect your engine runs if the frame, subframe, or suspension mounts are rotting away underneath. In states with winter salt like Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and New York, rust can total a car long before the engine quits. Once structural rust takes hold, repairs become unsafe or impossible. But rust doesn't happen overnight. It starts with tiny chips in the undercoating, road salt getting trapped in seams, and moisture sitting on bare metal. The solution? Wash your undercarriage regularly, especially in winter. Most touchless car washes offer an underbody spray option for a few extra dollars. Use it. That simple rinse removes salt, mud, and chemicals before they bond to the metal. For extra protection, apply a rust inhibitor or oil-based undercoating once a year. Products like fluid film or crown create a barrier that displaces moisture and prevents oxidation. Mechanics in the Rust Belt swear by it. If you live where salt is used, this habit is not optional. Habit number 5, the windshield washer fluid quality rule. You might think washer fluid is just water with color. It's not. Quality washer fluid contains detergents that cut through bugs, road grime, and oily film. It also has antifreeze to prevent the reservoir and lines from freezing in winter. Cheap or diluted washer fluid freezes, cracks the reservoir, and clogs the spray nozzles. Replacing a cracked reservoir costs $80 to $200. The fix is simple. Use real windshield washer fluid rated for your climate, not water, not homemade mixtures. In winter, choose a formula rated to -20 degrees or lower. In summer, go for a bug remover formula. And while you're at it, check your wiper blades every 6 months. Worn blades streak, chatter, and scratch your windshield. A new set costs $20 to $40 and takes 5 minutes to install. Clear visibility isn't a luxury, it's a safety requirement. Habit number 4, the alternator belt tension check. We talked about replacing the serpentine belt earlier, but tension matters just as much. A loose belt slips, squeals, and fails to drive your alternator at full capacity. When your alternator underperforms, your battery slowly drains. Warning lights flicker. Electronics glitch. Eventually, the car dies, and you're stuck on the side of the road waiting for a tow. Mechanics see this constantly. Drivers replace the battery thinking that's the problem, but the real issue is a slipping belt that never charged the battery properly in the first place. The tension test is simple. With the engine off, press down on the belt midway between pulleys. It should have about ½ an inch of flex. Firm, but not rock hard. Too tight, and you'll wear out the bearings. Too loose, and the belt slips. Keep that belt tight. Keep your alternator spinning at the correct speed, and your electrical system stays charged. Habit number 3, the catalytic converter protection protocol. Your catalytic converter is one of the most expensive emissions components on your car, often costing $800 to $2,500 to replace depending on the vehicle. It uses precious metals like platinum and palladium to convert harmful exhaust gases into safer emissions, but it's also fragile. Misfires, oil consumption, and rich fuel mixtures dump unburned fuel into the exhaust. That fuel ignites inside the cat, melting the catalyst and clogging the honeycomb. Once it's clogged, your engine loses power, fuel economy drops, and the check engine light stays on. The fix? Prevent the problem. Never ignore a misfire. Fix it immediately. A misfiring cylinder sends raw fuel into the cat every time it fires. Even a few hundred miles of driving with a misfire can destroy the converter. The best way to protect your catalytic converter is to keep your engine running cleanly. Fresh spark plugs, clean fuel injectors, proper air-fuel mixture, and no oil burning. Cars that follow these basics rarely have cat failures. Habit number 2, the exhaust hanger inspection. Your exhaust system hangs under the car supported by rubber hangers. Over time, those hangers crack, break, or rot away. When they fail, the exhaust pipes sag, rattle against the undercarriage, and eventually crack from vibration. A broken exhaust hanger costs $5 to $15. A cracked exhaust pipe costs $200 to $600 to weld or replace. Catching it early saves you serious money. The inspection is fast. Slide under the car or use a flashlight to peek from the side. Look for rubber hangers that are stretched, cracked, or missing. Wiggle the exhaust pipes gently. They should move slightly, but feel secure. If a pipe hangs low or moves more than an inch, a hanger has failed. Replace it before the pipe breaks. Most hangers are universal and available at any auto parts store. Habit number 1, the service record discipline. This isn't a part or a fluid, it's a mindset. Every single habit we've talked about only works if you track it, schedule it, and follow through. The difference between a 100,000-mile car and a 300,000-mile car isn't luck. It's documentation. High-mileage car owners keep detailed records of every oil change, every fluid flush, every filter, belt, hose, and repair. They know exactly when the last coolant flush happened. They know when the transmission fluid was changed. They know the mileage on their spark plugs and their brake pads. That information isn't just for their own reference. It drastically increases resale value because buyers trust a car with records. A well-maintained car with a thick folder of receipts sells for thousands more than an identical car with no history. Start today. Create a simple spreadsheet or use a maintenance app. Log every service with the date, mileage, and what was done. Set reminders for upcoming services. This one habit creates accountability, prevents missed maintenance, and turns your car into a reliable, long-lasting machine. And there you have it, 20 habits that push ordinary cars well past 300,000 miles with little to no major repairs. If even one of these tips saves you from a breakdown or a costly repair, this video paid for itself 100 times over. Do me a favor, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Drop a comment and tell me which habit surprised you most, or which one you're going to start using today. I read every single one. And before you go, check out the next video on the screen. It's about the biggest fluid change myths that are costing drivers thousands. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.